Devotion. And this morning I want to do a short promo. I'll do the promo at the end, but at this time I just want to say that last week I saw somebody sent a video for me showing some churches marching. Forget the name of the church because I said I'm going to mention the name, so people will know who I'm talking about. But they were marching all the way to the Parliament building, and they're marching carrying large Israeli flags. And the pastor and the loudspeaker was saying, apparently you're speaking to the government to lay your hands off Israel and asking us to stand with Israel. No, no, an activist saying this, even Netanyahu and those fellas in Israel, those criminals in Israel who are committing war crimes every day, if they say it, it can be understandable. But for a preacher who say he's preaching about Christ and his righteousness, about Jesus and his mercy, to look at what's happening in Gaza and to say he's standing with Israel, it is unbelievable. To see that 29,000 people have died, 15,000 of them are children, 69,000 injured, missing limbs, eyes, hands, legs. To see a hospital was raided and people who were on ventilator and different apparatus were left to die. To see that children who were in the incubators because they were born before time because of the trauma of the time. So see those pictures of those children just rotting in their incubator, not even buried. And to see people being starved, 70-something thousand at a time, to see a missile hitting a home with mother, father, children, and to stand and say, stand with Israel, and you are a preacher of righteousness. If it's not crazy, somebody explain to me what is crazy. If for this preacher to stand day in, day out, and preach the love of God, and then see this mayhem, these atrocities, this killing, this wanton waste of lives in the Gaza, and say, stand with Israel. What is troubling about this is that people who don't know God, who don't care about God, but they are calling for a ceasefire because the barbarism has gotten to them and they recognize that this cannot be right. And to have these preachers walking around saying, stand with Israel, it is totally out of this world. It is mind-boggling to see preachers standing, asking you to stand for evil. A word to the wise is sufficient. This morning, ladies and gentlemen, all who are listening to me, this morning I come here to talk about research. This world has never been more technologically advanced and technologically has never been more accessible. Technology has never been more accessible and available to so much of the world as it is now. Wherever you go, in schools, everybody got a device in the palm of their hands. There are governments all over the world are making the internet access available to one and all. Never has a time in our Earth's history as the entire world be as close together as it is now. Those things I was speaking to you before in my Word to the Wise segment. Those things I've seen some of it live. I've seen it on television. Never has the world been like this. In fact, this is the first time the world is actually witnessing a genocide. We have heard about Slovakia, and we have read and we have heard about transatlantic slavery, but this is the first time we are actually witnessing the wanton killing of the innocent. This is the first time we are witnessing that with our own eyes. Nobody have to tell us a story. That's where technology has gotten us. You would have thought also that with all this technology abound, you would have thought the changes are rapid in this world, and in theory, because of the availability of knowledge, one would have believed that this world would be safer than at any time in its history. But it isn't so. We are experiencing social chaos on every front. And in everything, things that technology and our knowledge base through this technology ought to solve, it is not solving anything. Crime is a worldwide phenomenon, and poverty and social decay are everywhere. It's an oxymoron. We are at a place where the center doesn't hold, and there's no direct reason for this. All across the world, youth unrest and instability can be found. How and why has the technology failed to arrest these situations? The answer lies in the misuse of technology. You may have heard the phrase, I did my research, or do your research. And it usually comes from a place where the person knows nothing about research. What they are really saying is Google, or use MSN, or Yahoo, or YouTube, or Facebook. And while these search machines can be helpful, they have caused a level of social delusion that has resulted in deaths, social disorganization, war, the overthrow of governments, protests, crime, and a rise in much social ills. Measles, only this week I found out, is on the rise in the US, in the USA. And those doctors are saying the reason for the rise in measles in the USA is because of anti-vaxxers. And the reason why anti-vaxxers have become so prominent and are spreading so much disinformation because of the technology that is available. Yes, I want to say it again. The reason why it is so widespread is because everybody is saying Google this and Google that and check YouTube without understanding what they are doing. Afghanistan and Pakistan are struggling with polio in 2024, something that the entire world have ripped some 30 years ago. They are struggling with it. And why they are struggling with it, again, is those videos that people are looking at on social media. The anti-vaccination is high in these two countries. In fact, people carrying out vaccination are killed in Pakistan and Afghanistan. So while there are real benefits from social media, from Googling, from searching, for doing these sort of searches for yourself, the downside is troubling. And I believe it's troubling because what is true and real research is not known. So people don't know what to look for or how to protect themselves from disinformation and misinformation. People are deluded into thinking that whatever comes out of their so-called research is reality. This has created so much death and misery during COVID. And as people download and share their disinformation and misinformation under the guise as, I did my research. You do your research. I have been unfortunate to bury 5 persons. One who had been sending misinformation for me in video form while they should not have vaccination. And for many, all this research is about had made them delusional and has increased the spread of conspiracy theories. This has prophetic significance as a culture of doubt is being developed, and as such, a word of God is becoming more and more insignificant. And truth and reality is questioned based on online disinformation. This is what is happening. This is why the entire, I won't say the entire, mass numbers of people are living under social delusion because the things that they are hearing and looking at is not true, and they don't know how to test it to see if it is true. And while I acknowledge the benefits of their approach in some instances, this morning I want to bring a knowledge of what social science research is all about, hoping it will make us more mindful that it is a science. And to do this, I have invited Dr. Susan Chan, Dean of the School of Social Sciences, of the University of the Southern Caribbean, to discuss research with us. Dr. Chan, good morning and welcome again to Victorious Lifestyle.
Good morning, Pastor Brown, and good morning to all the viewers. Thank you for this opportunity to come on your platform and to share whatever knowledge that we have on research and also learn from you um, what you think and what your thoughts are about research, especially in this contemporary times.
Thank you very much. Now, first, I want to ask you straight off the bat, how relevant are people like you who are in research in this atmosphere where people view the result from Google, Yahoo, MSN, etc., where people are saying I can do my own research? How relevant are you now when we can all do our own research?
Well, that's an interesting question. Like you said, the information and knowledge is open to everyone, and everyone can say they do their own research. Now, it has been a little disturbing for people, us here in the academics, because students have access to, all kinds of information. And especially me, as I teach research methods in social sciences, we do encounter in recent times where a lot of students are using AI generated text, okay? And they submit it as an assignment as their research paper. So that has been quite disturbing for us, but we do have things in place that can prevent or address those kind of issues where we have a plagiarism check AI detector on our systems where we can take the assignment, run it through those systems, and it will tell us how much of the paper were AI generated or how much of it has similarity reports from other resources if they have copied from the other resources. But coming to your question, we do advise the academics, researchers who do serious research that Facebook, Wikipedia, and these are not good places for extracting information for your research because we do not know the credibility of that information that is posted on these sites on social media. And the credibility is so low. And research is saying about the domains that we should look for if a paper is academic or not. And so we advise students that where are the sites they can go for retrieving information for research. And definitely Facebook is not the medium, even though I'm a member of a Facebook chat group, which is on mixed method research. And of course, we have groups on Facebook that researchers use to communicate with each other, share their research thoughts, and share their views and share their perceptions, but we don't use information there to cite in our research papers.
So what are the role of these machines then to our student? Google, Yahoo, MSN, what role they should really play
Right.
yeah.
So we have in Google, we have a search engine called Google Scholar that students can use. And Google Scholar, you type in your keywords that you want to do your search on or your research papers on, and it will bring up searches from various literature journals. So you have to look at the credibility of those journals. And usually we ask them to look at journals which have been published over the past 5 years or 10 years. Sometimes Google Scholar will bring up literature way back from 1960s or 1980s or 1970s, right? So a lot of literature on the sites are not updated. So that's one thing researchers and students of research must take note of the recency of those publications, because the older they are not, they may have been proven wrong, or there are new theories that has come up, new studies that have come up. That's one. Secondly, they have to see if those articles, the authorship of those articles, who is the author, what's the background of the author, what are the qualifications, are they affiliated to reputed institutions or they are not affiliated to any institution? There are independent researchers, but we must look into the background of the authors and their authorship. And if they have published previous literatures, where have they published? So that is another thing to see at the background of the authors, their authorship, their affiliation to an institution. Next thing that you need to see is the journal in which these articles are being published. So a lot of journals recently have been deemed as fake, and they have been retracted from the system because they have been publishing below standard articles. Okay, and those articles may not have been peer reviewed. So look at the journals. Do you recognize those journals? Are those journals listed on any database? Do they have an ISBN number? Do they have an ISS number? Are those journals peer reviewed? So those are some of the things that we need to look at when we are looking for information. And if you're doing just a Google search, not using Google Scholar, a lot of time, even I do for information's sake, then the domains that we search must end with .edu or .gov, which is government publication, or .tt, which is the country's publication. And .coms are never a reliable domains to look at, though some real good papers seem to be published in .com domains. But I would advise look at .edu or the institution's domain that will be there at the end. And that is these are some of the tips we can give to the researchers as they are doing the search.
Okay. You said something about peer review. What is that? Two reviews? What's that about?
Peer reviewed is when you submit an article to the journal, the editors will send it to be reviewed by reviewers. So generally they're reviewed by at least two reviewers. 2 to 3 reviewers will review. They are expert in those areas of study. And so they are selected to be reviewers. So all journals have a team of reviewers that they send the papers to be reviewed. And the review report comes back to the author. They have to make the corrections. And so the paper is not biased. The paper do not have inaccuracies. They are scientifically been, seen for that if the results or what they have put in the paper, the research design is valid, reliable. So they look for all those information and whether the information they also do plagiarism check on this paper to say if they have not plagiarized their work from somebody else. So that's what peer review does. It keeps the checks and balances on the authenticity and accuracy and the scientific standards of the papers, if they are maintained or not.
And that is something that if I'm just Googling, I how that is something that I may not be able to get from just Googling a document.
You can get it if you Google a document. The document has the title, the author, and the journal in which it has been published. Okay, so you go to the journal's website and say, what are the terms of reference of the journal, right? And it will tell you whether the journal is peer reviewed or not peer reviewed. Okay.
Okay. When you say social research, or what do you mean by that?
Okay, research that has been done in the field of social sciences. Social sciences is a very broad area. It covers even economics, politics, psychology, behavioral sciences, anthropology, sociology, even humanities is also considered these days as social sciences. So these are the areas, the domains or the areas that focus on studying human problems, human issues, studying of man and their relationships within the communities or societies. That's about social sciences. And social sciences is becoming more and more expanding. Even it's going into the medical sciences where the medical professions are using research from social sciences to understand the behavior of the patients. And a lot of studies are social science research with the medical professions are now using in the fields business people are using in their areas. So a lot of approaches that we do in social science research are being used by non-social science researchers too. That's aside from what you were asking.
Okay. In doing research, because I want us to fully understand what you are saying. In doing research, must I always have an idea of what the outcome would be? I'm checking to see, looking for biases here. Will I always have an idea when I begin that research? Should I be looking for something in particular, or the research spawns just I going through the research sponsor.
All right. So I specializes in qualitative research. And in qualitative research, there's a lot of flexibility, and we are criticized for being so fluid and flexible. Unlike quantitative research, where you have a hypothesis, you have assumption, you have particular sets of predictions that you set out to research and examine and confirm. But in qualitative research, we are very fluid. We can begin with an idea and develop on that as we go. Well, it being said that we still have to follow certain systems in a research practice, right? Even if it is qualitative, which is very flexible and gives room for a lot of changes to be done while we are in the process, but we must have an idea. We must have a concept that we are working on. We may not be able to say there's a likely outcome, but we must have a general idea about where we are going with the research. We cannot be um, so flexible as to not have a thing put in place as we research. So research, I would say, begins with a mind of inquiry. We must have a concept that we are developing. We must have an idea where we are going with that concept. And these are certain steps in research design that we put together that we need to put in place as we embark upon research. And though the outcomes are sometimes, informed by the data that we collect, but a general process, a general outline, a general design of a study must be put in place as we embark upon research. So we don't, number one, waste time and energy in doing research, which is not helping us to come to an outcome, or we are not clear about the outcomes. Number two, we are able to focus on the study that we bring out more information within the given time. And number three, we are able to address the gaps in the knowledge or bring out human solutions to the problem. So we must have an idea, we must have a research design to work with.
But if you are in this changing society, society is constantly in a change of flux. One thing consistent about the society is change. Why the need for empiricism, or how do I trust empiricism coming from a research in a changing society?
Well, we have to understand, what does empiricism mean? Okay, empiricism means that the data or the research is based on real life experiences. It's not AI generated. It's not a figment of human imagination, like the theory of evolution, which was purely the figment of human imagination. We can't leave research to human imagination. Empiricism, even in the changing world, is important because we draw data from people's lives, their lived experiences. And so we generate data from there, and that informs our decision making. So even though the things are changing, but our procedure for doing research remains the same because we want to make our research authentic, accurate. So even the things are changing in the world, people's views, people's perceptions. So empiricism is still important because our research should be based on the essence of lived experiences. And that is what empiricism means. We can't do experimentation on human behavior. And study of human behavior in social sciences is so central that empiricism is core of the research that we do in human behavior.
But this phenomenology, is that will that not also affect the researcher, his or her lived experience?
Yes. So there are many research that has been done on examining researchers' biases and how that brings into his research, his or her research. So in particularly in qualitative research, even I would suggest that this should happen in quantitative, where we call researchers' reflexivity, okay, should be addressed in the study. Now, we cannot take researchers' subjectivity and throw it out of the window. Previously, we were taught that researchers must attain a zero value neutrality. That means we should have no biases as we conduct a research, but that is not possible. Researchers are human beings, They have the level of subjectivity, and that is why we ask the researchers to write a paragraph in the research paper on reflexivity, where they address their biases, they address the subjectivity about the topic or about the subject they are researching. In that way, they empty out their emotions, their strong sentiments towards the study they're doing. A lot of time we see master's students, they take topics which are very close to their heart. They are passionate about it. Domestic violence, intimate partner relationships. These are very high on individuals who have experience, but we ask them to address it, write a reflexivity on what you feel and what are your strong sentiments. That helps them to bracket their experiences that will not bias their research. So they have to look at the research from a researcher's eyes, not as a victim of a violent experience, but look at it as a researcher and study it objectively as possible. So bracketing researchers' biases in reflexive writing helps a lot. And that's an art and skill of developing in researchers.
Are you of the view that social science research has impacted the world positively?
Yes, I would say it has impacted the world positively because social sciences touch upon human beings, and every institutions are human beings. All research that we do is on human beings. So there are issues that are related to personnel in workplaces. There are issues that are related to people in the medical world. So people are everywhere, and once we have people, they have social problems, right? So social sciences brings out solutions to human problems through research, and they bring in interventions to address those issues in their lives and bring a relief or bring solutions to the human problems. So social sciences have been impacted positively in the lives of people. And like I said before, more of social science research are being embraced by the medical professions in their treatment of diseases, and they are addressing the anxiety of people, the patients, and addressing the psychosocial and emotional aspects of their patients, and thereby helping them to treat their diseases and bring healing to their body and to their mind. So they are treating the mind, and that's where social sciences knowledge is, being integrated in almost every areas of, disciplines where the emotional and the psychosocial aspects of persons are being dealt with, and they are being studied more extensively and intensively than before.
Someone is asking me here about grounded theory. Is the prevailing thought of the common belief of the society, is that always what will be found in the research? Or is it the common belief of the society can be much different from what the research will uncover?
Well, thank you for asking that question. So, common beliefs are generated from the society, from people, and it passes down orally from generation to generation, and that's what people hold on to. But when the research is applied to those common beliefs, they can be, we don't say proof. We don't prove anything in research, but we say it confirms or it does not confirm to the beliefs and practices. So the grounded theory is a very good approach to say whether this common beliefs in the persons holds true or does not hold true through the scientific method of study. There was one study done by Leavitt on the Buddhist wisdom. So definition of wisdom by the Buddhist. So this was a grounded theory study that was done, and they interviewed about 50 to 60 monks in the particular area in Tibet. And the researcher used grounded theory. In grounded theory, we do levels of interviews. So there's level one interview. So you extract information about what they thought about wisdom. What was the definition of wisdom? And so they went on, extracting information, level one, level two. So went up to the high level. So level one was very basic understanding of what they understood about wisdom. Level 2 and 3 would have been more philosophical understanding of wisdom. And so the end of the study, they were inconclusive. So they couldn't come up with a specific definition of Buddhist wisdom, but they know there's Buddhist wisdom exists. That's a common belief, but they couldn't articulate or put a structure or a definition to it. Okay, so it's interesting. A lot of interesting things happen through research, and it tells you the direction in which our human philosophies and social beliefs exist among ourselves.
So you are saying then that the common belief could be true as well as it could not be true.
Yes, and we can apply research to say whether it holds true or does not hold true.
Okay. Can we apply all correct techniques and tenets of research and still be wrong with our findings, with our research, with our results?
Yes, it is possible. A lot of research that people have done, and in the history, you'll find a lot of theories that were done that were so true. But over the years, they have been proven to be not true and just null and void. So you may have
Well,
all the structure, everything, your sample size was good, your research design was good, your research question was good, everything was good, but it just didn't. No, I would say things went wrong. No, I would say that the data was contradictory to what a researcher would have set out to, see.
hmm,
And
um,
there are many, many examples of studies that have gone wrong. Not
there's
wrong,
a
but it contradicted
contrary.
the research questions or the objectives they set out to.
Okay. There's a conference at USC in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
You want to elaborate and tell us what this conference is about? Who will
Yes, we all are excited about this USC. This is our first research conference that is being held at USC March 7th and 8th. You can save your date. And we have a world-renowned speaker, sociologist, most cited sociologist in our Western world, Dr. David R. Williams, and alumna of our University of the Southern Caribbean, our own product, that will be doing the keynote address at this conference. And the title of the conference is Scientific Contribution of Spirituality, Religion on Health and Well-Being. And it's very interesting because this is going to draw from the flourishing studies and forgiveness and health, a human flourishing perspective. So this will focus on the role of forgiveness in health and well-being, the role of religion and spirituality in therapeutic interventions in healthcare and patent outcomes. And it will also focus on methodological innovation for researching public and community health and outcome. And we'll be launching David R. Williams Center for the Study of Spirituality, Religion, and Health. So it's going to be very exciting. So you're invited to register. The registration is open at our USC site, and registration fee is only 100 TT. For general, for students, it is 50 TT. And if you're attending virtually from wherever locations, then it is 15 US dollars.
Why is
And
this important? Why is having, because this seems so oxymoronic to me. It's talking about spirituality, religion, and health. What health has to do with religion? What health has to do with spirituality that you are putting into one conference?
all right, we want to say who we are here at the University of the Southern Caribbean, being a faith-based institution, what we hold on to. And this is so important to what we do here at the University of the Southern Caribbean. And it is really amazing for me to say that the secular world is talking about religion. The secular world is engaging in research in spirituality and its impact on their workplaces and the role of forgiveness in in their among their workers or among their population. So we being a faith-based institution, we are way behind. And so we want to make a point here to say these things are important. These are flourishing studies, okay? And the flourishing study talks about how do human beings flourish and have a better life? How does happiness, how does positive living, proper lifestyle choices bring flourishing in our lives? So it's a very interesting study, and we really want people from all walks of life. It doesn't have to be based on particular religion, but we are embracing. We have invited presenters from all religious background to come and make the presentation and understand this human flourishing from the Hindu perspective, from the Muslim perspective, from the Christian perspective. And this is going to be a very interesting conference where we are embracing everyone and inviting you all to be part of this beautiful experience.
Those 2 days you're speaking about, are Saturday and a Sunday?
Those are Friday and those are Thursday and Friday.
So these presenters will be presenting like what? Like how? Like in a what
It's a
way?
hybrid conference, so there'll be people who will be here physically on campus. The conference will be hosted by the University of Southern Caribbean on our campus, and there'll be presenters and attendees who will be joining us virtually. Okay, so it's a hybrid conference.
Okay, so the $100 is a registration fee.
Yes, for those who are coming physically. Okay.
And can I
And
register on?
that covers both days: food, registration, package, breaks. That
Food
will
is
be
that?
covered in that. Yes, all of that in 100 TT. Because we have sponsors who have heavily subsidized our conference rate. So that is why we are offering, so that we'll have more people coming and participating. 50 TT for students and 100 TT for the general. And you can be with us for the 2 days, and we'll take care of you'll be given the conference package, provided food, lunch, snacks, all of that inclusive.
All right, I don't know if anybody have a question for you. So Alex, if we could open the lines for anybody who may have a question for Dr. Chan.
Sure, let's do that. 622-4911, and a very good morning to you. And of
Morning,
course,
sir.
guests. And if anyone would like to call in, now's the time. Once again, 622-4911, and Pastor, you may continue.
Thank you very much. Dr. Chan, I'm going again with one more question research that I missed out on it. When you said something in one of your answers about about size, sample size. But when you are doing a research, what are the key elements that, apart from the topic you are dealing with, when you enter in the community, what are the key elements that you are thinking about so that you can get a scientific result?
Okay, so before we enter into the community, we have to go through a preparatory phase. One of the things that as researcher you should be mindful is the ethics. Okay, research ethics is very important, and research ethics includes informed consent from your participant. So you have to get permission from the participant whether they want to be part of your research or not to be part of research. They cannot be coerced, obliged to be part of your research. So informed consent is important because that tells you that you respect your participant, that participant are not just anybody you choose, pick up and use the data and forget about them. You have to treat them with dignity, treat them for the knowledge repository that they are, because we are approaching them for interviews. They have the knowledge and they are the ones who are more knowledgeable than us. But a lot of time we ignore that, and when paper is published, we take all the credit is given to the researchers. So that is not ethical. We have to give respect to the participant and to the person who are imparting their knowledge and experience with you. Secondly, there should be a fair selection of the participant. We cannot be biased in choosing some and ignoring the others. So when we do a sample selection, every person in the community should have fair and equal chance of being selected in your sample. When we do qualitative research, we do purposive sampling, because if purposive sampling, we are doing fewer number there, and whoever meets the criteria of the being a participant, then they are included in the study. So these are very important. I would say that fair subject selection, informed consent from the participant is very important. And if they are minors, then they should give their assent, and parental consent is very important. If they are minors, we have to be always mindful of them. The kind of questions that we're asking should be not offensive. It should not create not traumatize the people, but it should be pleasant. We should engage them in pleasant conversations. So I would say these are some of the important things when it comes to sample and sample selection.
They deal with age and sex and social status, and all these things must be considered.
Yes, not everything in demographic need to be considered, because if you don't need that in our study, why do you want to know about the religion of the people? Why do we need to know the ethnicity of the person if those are not relevant to our study? So whatever is relevant to our study, we must include that. Of course, age and the gender is important, because you need to know that information from your participant, but not necessarily going down to their socioeconomic status or their ethnicity or the religion if it is not relevant to your study.
Would you say that research, social science research, would you say that it is scientific?
Yes, social science research is very scientific because it follows particular procedures, guidelines, and ethics of research.
So therefore, this is the big difference between I sit in my computer home and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, yeah, you know where I'm going. So
AI generated.
yes.
Listen, in 2023 alone, 10,000 articles, literature were retractable. What does that mean? They were pulled out from, they were published and they were pulled out from publication because they found the content the authors used were AI generated. And they used ChatGPT as their co-author, right? And ChatGPT have been recently released in the public open domain. And so people have been using it, misusing it. And so 10,000 or more just in 2023 articles were retracted from
Oh,
being published. Yeah.
okay. I glad that was your answer, because it comes back to what I was saying,
Mm.
that when we are doing these Google research or Yahoo research or MXN research or these search machine research, we must be cognizant of there are a lot of things that could be happening in there
Mhm.
that will make your research not accurate.
Null and void.
Null and void. And what has happened? What has happened, Dr. Chan? You don't have to join me in this. What has happened, my recognition is that the rise of conspiracy theories has a lot to do with people doing this armchair research. Because I can sit right here and make a video with all
Mhm.
kind of error in it. And you pull me, and once you pull me with those errors, every error written video that is doing what I am doing, you will get those videos coming to you over and over. So what happens eventually is that when you Google something, because you have already Googled things with that genre, all those
Has studied you. It has studied
ah
your
yes.
pattern. The Google studied your behavior, and it will give you the same thing over and over again. And so
Mhm.
that is something, sometimes it can be scary, but we need to address those things. And, don't let Google overpower you, manipulate you, but you use your intelligence that God has given you to do a proper search. Okay? And there are sites within a search engine nowadays. This one is becoming quite popular, which is within Bing. It is
Yes.
Copilot, supported by ChatGPT 4, and you can chat with that in that domain, in that place, and it will give you a lot of searches on articles I was doing, and I found a lot of articles that I couldn't find in the other searches it was giving me. But again, we have to be careful that they may give you the references. Go and check those references. what the researchers saw that the references generated by ChatGPT was inaccurate. It never existed. Pastor Brown, those references, if they said Chand and Brown 2019, we wrote something, it did
Never,
not
never
exist.
did.
Right. So the
Dr. Chan,
inaccuracies have increased in ChatGPT from 20% to 50%, and
Dr.
it's
Chan,
becoming more and more inaccurate. Yes.
I want
So
to say I want to say thank you tremendously, and I'm just hoping that those who are listening have listened to you this morning will have a better idea of what research is all about, and they can be more careful when they are googling and pulling from Yahoo and these things. This was the focus of this program this morning. Those who are listening to me, I know that we have come to the place where we believe things that are not true. That's why I call it social delusion. And that's why I brought Dr. Chan on this morning to really deal with what is research. And you can continue. Remember, folks who are listening to me, you can press your subscribe button now, or you can leave your messages on Facebook and on. Don't leave it on the station Facebook or the station um, Instagram. Leave it on my platform. That's why I will get it and I'll be able to answer you. So any other thing you need to know, send it to me on my Facebook platform or send it to me via YouTube. I want to thank those who have been contributing. I was at Brothers Road yesterday morning, and I was told by the elder that they have been sending money to the program. I want to say thank you to all the people in Brothers Road, all the members, my good friends out there. I want to thank them very much. And for those who have been given to the program, you know yourself, I wouldn't go through the name because we are almost out of time, but I want to thank you tremendously because of you. And Dr. Chan, January 2024, we have entered our 23rd year of this program being on it. 23 years.
congratulations.
High and low. I was here, even I had hair on my head, I was here. It has been a long time. Some people are born, they have died, and this program is still on the air. And there are some people who have been with me for more than 10 years, 15 years. I will single Diane, I could forget that Diane name, boy. Diane Lawrence. She has been with me for so many years. I can't remember, but there are some people who have been with me a very long time, and I'm grateful for those folks. And there are people
I
who came on.
remember when we came to your studio in Port of Spain, when you
Yeah,
used to host it in Port of
yeah,
Spain many years ago.
many,
Yeah.
many years ago. In fact, you were much younger, Dr. Chan. Yes. So I wanted
We enjoyed.
so I want to thank everybody who has been listening to us this morning. May the God graces be upon you. Alex, I want to thank you again for being our producer this morning again. May God be with you and your family. And until next week, folks, same time, same place. May God be with all of you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Pastor
you.
and guests. That was the program Victorious Lifestyle here on Talk City 91.1.